Okay, ready for this? We're talking AI that's so creative it makes things up.
Yeah.
And get this those hallucinations, they actually help it discover new drugs.
Wild, right.
Totally wild. We're diving into this research paper you sent me. Hallucinations can improve large language models in drug discovery.
It really flips the script on how we think about AI, especially for something as precise as drug discovery.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyone tuning in, drug discovery, that's a bear, right? It's super
Mhm.
complex, crazy expensive, like finding a needle in a haystack, but way worse.
And scientists are always on the hunt for ways to make it faster, more efficient.
I'm sure.
And that's where AI is starting to step in, right? We're
Yeah.
seeing these large language models, LLMs, being used more and more in research, including drug discovery.
Exactly. But LLMs have this quirk, I guess you could call it. Sometimes they just make stuff up.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Hallucinations.
Yeah, hallucinations, information that's just not true, sometimes totally off topic from the data they're given. Like the AI is letting its imagination go wild.
And what this research is exploring is, well, could these hallucinations, these random bits of info, actually be helpful in finding new drugs?
Okay, so how did they even test that? What was the experiment like?
So they took 7 different LLMs, including big names like GPT 3.5 and GPT 4,
Okay.
tested them on 5 drug discovery datasets, and they fed the models these things called smile strings.
Smile strings.
Yeah, basically that's like a code, a way of representing the structure of a molecule, but in a language the AI can understand, like translating chemistry into AI language, if that makes sense.
So the AI had to look at this smile string and then predict if that molecule would do something specific, like fight a virus.
Right. Now, to see how these hallucinations were affecting things, they had 2 baselines.
Got it, like a control group. So what were the baselines?
The first one, super simple. They just gave the AI the smile string of the molecule.
Makes sense.
The second, they gave the AI the smile string plus a factual description of the molecule from another AI called Multi-5.
Okay, so they had these baselines, then they added a third element. What was it?
The AI's own creative writing, so to speak. Descriptions of the molecules, but the descriptions were generated by the LLMs themselves.
So full of errors, made up stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets wild. Most of the LLMs actually did better when they got these hallucinated descriptions.
Wait, seriously? Even compared to that baseline with the accurate info from Multi5?
Yep. Better. It's like,
But how? How can giving the AI bad information make it better at predicting what a molecule will do?
that's the million-dollar question, right?
Right.
It seems like the AI might be using these creative, inaccurate bits to make connections, predictions in a way that we wouldn't.
So it's not just blindly believing the false info, it's like using it as a jumping off point.
Exactly. It's saying, okay, this might be wrong, but what if? What if I follow this new path, even though it's not what I was told?
It's almost like a different way of thinking, right? Challenges how we assume AI works.
Totally. And the improvement wasn't small either. In some cases, it was significant.
Did they notice any patterns, like were certain LLMs better at this whole creative spark thing?
Yeah, one of the big findings was that GPT-4, when it was hallucinating, it consistently boosted the performance of all the other LLMs.
Whoa, so its creativity was contagious.
It's an interesting way to put it.
How do they know these weren't just like statistical flukes?
That's a valid point. More research is definitely needed, but the consistency across the different models and data sets, that suggests something bigger is going on.
Makes sense. What other findings jumped out at you?
The model that improved the most dramatically was Llama 3.18b. With the hallucinations, it was 18.35% better at predicting those molecular properties compared to just the smile string alone.
18.35%. That's a huge leap. It really highlights the potential here. So is this research telling us a little bit of controlled chaos is a good thing in drug discovery?
That's a great question. And to understand how this actually works, they dug deeper into the specifics of the experiment. One of the things they found was that size mattered.
Bigger AI, more creative sparks, is that what you mean?
In a way, yeah. Larger LLMs, the ones with billions of parameters, those tended to benefit more from the hallucinations.
Okay, that makes sense. If a larger model has more knowledge, more connections, it's better equipped to explore these new pathways.
Right, exactly. Like having a small toolbox versus a massive workshop.
Right. I get it. More tools, more creative solutions. So it's not just about being bigger, it's about having a wider range of stuff to work with.
Precisely. And they also played around with the temperature parameter.
Temperature? What does that even mean when we're talking about AI?
So temperature controls how random the LLM's output is, like a creativity dial.
Higher temperature, more out there ideas, but also more prone to being wrong.
Yeah, that's the trade-off.
Did they find, like, a sweet spot on that dial?
Interestingly, the performance was pretty consistent across the different temperature settings. That suggests there might be a certain level of randomness that's helpful for this kind of creative problem solving.
So we don't want the AI to be totally off the rails, just
Yeah.
a little outside the box.
Right. Now, get this. They also looked at how the language of the hallucinations impacted performance.
Wait, the AI was hallucinating in different languages?
Yep. And the weirdest part, hallucinations in Chinese led to the biggest improvement, even though the model wasn't trained on Chinese.
Hold on, you're kidding, right? It's coming up with insights in a language it doesn't even know.
It's pretty wild. They think it might be something about the structure of the Chinese language itself, or how the AI processes different characters. Maybe there's something unique about how Chinese represents information that unlocks new ways for the AI to think.
This is blowing my mind. It's like watching the AI think in ways we don't even understand. Did they give any specific examples of these hallucinations, like how they actually help the AI make discoveries?
They did. There's a case study where they walked through a hallucinated description of a molecule and how it affected the Llama 3.18b model. And get this, they were able to show that the model was actually focusing on the inaccurate, unrelated parts of the description when making its predictions.
It was using those mistakes to its advantage. Incredible. Why would that happen?
Their analysis suggests the model might be using these creative elements to make connections and predictions that, well, humans wouldn't think of. Like, it's solving a puzzle, but with pieces from a totally different box.
That's amazing. We've covered so much ground already. And it's clear that AI hallucinations, they're not just a quirk. They might actually be the key to unlocking some incredible discoveries.
Yeah, we've just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
And what we've learned so far raises even more questions about the nature of AI and what it can do in science.
Absolutely. And we'll dive into those questions, explore the bigger picture in the next part of our deep dive.
Back again.
Yeah. And I'm still wrapping my head around this. A little bit of AI make-believe could be the future of drug discovery. It's wild.
Definitely changes how we think about things, for sure.
We talked about the potential benefits, but how do we go from interesting research to something we can actually use?
It's the big question. Imagine drug discovery platforms that aren't just about analyzing data, but are designed to embrace those controlled chaos moments.
So we don't try to eliminate these hallucinations, we try to use them.
Right. It's like having scientists working alongside these AI agents, but the AI is encouraged to think differently, even if it hits a dead end sometimes.
Harnessing those random sparks. But how do you control something that seems so random? How do you encourage creativity, but make sure the AI doesn't go off the deep end?
That's the challenge, right? Figuring out how to reliably control the level of hallucination.
Yeah.
Remember how they said there's a sweet spot? Too little, and you might not get those novel insights. Too much, and it becomes unreliable, maybe even dangerous.
So we need a hallucination dial that we can adjust. But how do you even measure that? It's not like we can give the AI a truth serum.
Another area where we need more research for sure. We need ways to evaluate how accurate these LLMs are, especially in science. Even a tiny error can have big consequences.
Yeah, we don't want AI hallucinating a drug that ends up being harmful. Those creative leaps have to be grounded in reality.
Absolutely. And that brings up another point. As we develop these powerful AI tools, we have to think about, what could go wrong? Unintended consequences.
So it's not just about getting good ideas from the AI, but making sure those ideas are safe and that they're used responsibly.
Right. It's like exploring uncharted territory. Exciting possibilities, but you need to be careful. Plan things out.
Okay, we've talked about benefits, challenges, but this research also kind of makes you think about what intelligence even means.
It does, doesn't it? We've always defined intelligence as being logical, rational, processing information accurately. But what if there's another type of intelligence? One that's more about randomness, intuition, making connections that don't follow the usual logic.
So those AI hallucinations aren't just errors, they're a window into this other way of thinking.
It's a pretty big shift in perspective. And it makes you wonder, are there similarities between how the AI hallucinates and how humans get those aha moments, those flashes of insight that you can't explain logically?
Like when you're stuck on a problem, then suddenly the solution appears. You don't know how you got there, but it works.
Exactly. And what if we could tap into that with AI? Train AI to not just copy human intelligence, but to add to it with this unconventional intelligence that can come up with completely new ideas.
It'd be like a collaboration between Two different minds, each one bringing something unique to the table.
Who knows what we could discover with that kind of partnership? This research is really just the start of a much bigger conversation about intelligence and what AI can become.
Feels like we're at the beginning of something huge.
We are, and I'm excited to see where it leads.
Me too. We've gone through a lot of complex stuff, so I'm sure our listeners ready for some final thoughts, something to think about on their own. Okay, lay those final thoughts on me. This AI hallucination thing, it's going to stick with me.
I think it makes us question not just AI, but how we think about creativity in general.
How so?
Well, you see, this research suggests those unexpected results, those detours, can be really valuable. What if, instead of always aiming for 100% accuracy, we allow for some wiggle room?
You're saying embracing the unexpected, letting go of control a bit, that could be a good thing.
Exactly. Like, think about those discoveries that happen by chance. History's full of them. Penicillin, that was a contaminated petri dish. A lab mistake that turned out to be huge.
Break the rules to make something great, right? But obviously, it's not about being reckless. There's a line between chaos and, controlled experimentation.
Of course. It's about finding that balance, structure and flexibility, logic and intuition. Being open to new possibilities, even if they come from what we think are errors. And that's the trick, figuring out which mistakes are worth exploring.
So next time you hit a snag, an unexpected result, don't just toss it aside. Dig in, see if there's something hidden there. You might find your own penicillin, that breakthrough that changes everything.
Love that. What's so exciting about this is it changes how we see AI, what it can do. We're not just making machines that copy us. We're making machines that can think in ways we can't even imagine yet.
It's like a new kind of creativity, human ingenuity, mixed with the AI's unconventional intelligence.
And who knows what we'll find as we keep exploring.
Definitely a lot to ponder. This has changed how I look at my own creative process.
Me too.
Yeah.
And hopefully our listeners feeling inspired as well. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and never be afraid of the unexpected.